Okay, so let's start with the basics of vectors. So essentially, vectors are just used to show movements. Or as I've written at the top here, a more formal way of saying this is that vectors are used to show the position of one point with respect to another. But a really simple way to think about it is that they represent movements. Do not get them confused with coordinates. It's a very common misconception with students to get your vectors and coordinates mixed up. Essentially, coordinates are showing positions. Vectors are showing movements though. You represent both of them with a bracket, but with a coordinate, you write the two numbers next to each other. So for a coordinate, you might have the position 2, 3 on a set of axes. So that would be 2 to the right and 3 up. But with a vector, you would write the numbers above and below, and it would show the movement that's happening there. So that vector there, 2 over 3, means that you are moving 2 to the right and 3 up. And then we can use negative numbers to show movements to the left and down as well. So let's use that basic idea then to help us with the first question that we've got here. So it says various vectors are shown below. Write each one as a column vector, which simply just means in vector form where one number is above the other. Let's start with our vector A. And with your vectors, you always put them in bold, or sometimes you'll see them with a little arrow or maybe even a line above or below them. The examiner won't be too concerned about how you write them, but just make sure you use one of those forms. And we can see that this first vector A on the grid there, based on the way that the arrow is pointing, it's starting on this bottom left point, put a little dot there, finishing on this top right. So we can see that as a movement of 3 places to the right and 1 up. Or another way to think about it is 1 up and 3 to the right, but that is essentially the same thing still. So how do we show a movement of 3 to the right? Well, we need a positive 3 on the top, and a movement of 1 up, we need a 1 underneath that. The second one that we've got is our vector B, and this time we can see that it's starting top left up here, but it's finishing bottom right down there. Now we can see that as a movement of 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right, so that's still a positive number on the top, but then we're moving down by 3 squares or 3 spaces. So whenever we're showing that we're going down, we need to put a minus there underneath. Same idea with vector C. This time we can see we're actually starting bottom right. So always look at the way that the arrow is pointing, and we're finishing top left. So how do we do that? Well, we need to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares to the left. So a movement of left, we need a negative number on the top. And then we are moving up by 3. So up, we put a positive 3 underneath. And then the final one, vector D. Again, we can write this as a column vector. We can see that we're starting on the top right, finishing bottom left. So we've gone left by 1, so minus 1 on the top, and then we've gone down by 3, so minus 3 underneath. So both of our numbers were negative for that one.